What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Crystal Palace 1, Manchester United 0. But football, eh? Football, eh? What a! It's the greatest sport in the world. Obviously, the greatest form of entertainment in the world. As I mentioned, Crystal Palace 1, Manchester United 0. Manchester United finished 6th and do qualify for the Europa League. Not for the lack of trying, it must be said. Now, obviously, we are going to talk about United. We are going to talk about Erik ten Hag. We're going to talk about Ralf Rangnick. We're going to talk about the performances and all that kind of stuff. We will get into it. Don't worry, guys. It is a Man United channel, so we are going to talk about Man United. But I would be remiss to not address like what has happened today, considering. And again, I'm not going to celebrate, our City rivals winning the league, right? Obviously. But we do have to start on talking about, that title and how it's happened. DJ, how are you feeling?
Man, I'm conflicted. It's one of those ones where it's sort of like the lesser of two evils prevail today.
Yeah.
And as United fans, we just didn't have a pot to piss in, to be fair. And, we're just sitting back while two of our main rivals are fighting for the title. The season's been a shambles. But I think my immediate kind of feeling towards it is I'm kind of just thankful that it wasn't Liverpool.
Yeah.
I couldn't stomach that. I just couldn't stomach that. So, yeah, I'm a bit thankful.
Guys, I'll be totally transparent with you. I was obviously watching the United game. I paid a real, not a lot of attention after sort of the 65th minute because I'll be honest, I felt sick. I actually thought, and I'm not like exaggerating. I thought, DJ, I thought I was going to vomit. Like as that was going on
Wow.
in the second half, because, and I'm not even exaggerating. I said it the other day when City were playing West Ham away and it was half time and it was 2-0 to West Ham at the time. It was the first time throughout the entire season I thought, oh my God, Liverpool might actually win the quadruple. Not to say that then when the Champions League is given, but I thought it's going to happen. And then I felt like Ian Beale and EastEnders. I thought we've got nothing left. We've got nothing.
I've got nothing left.
I've got nothing left. Yeah, and then West Ham were beating Brighton at one point, and we were 7th. And I thought, I mean, it could be the worst day ever. Seriously, it could be the worst day ever. And again, this is how bad United are, frankly. We're cheering for City. Well, not cheering, but we're happy, relieved. That's probably the best word, relief. It's relief. We're relieved that Liverpool haven't won the league, but City have. Talk about summing up where we are right now as a club and as a fan base. But you take your victories how you get them. Honestly, you'll take the victories.
Yeah, we're bottom of the barrel right now. I think, and we're probably going to get into it, but I think this is the worst. This is probably one of the most painful campaigns I've ever had to sit through as a fan, ever. In terms of recent memory, I don't remember another campaign where it was this toxic. Jose's was pretty bad, but I think this usurps Jose's because of the amount of
party. That looked like a party in comparison. I mean, it didn't even before the game today. Even like just you go on in the morning, you go on social media, or you read the papers, whatever you do. The amount of articles about Man United that were coming out about dressing room factions and people leaking stuff and people not liking stuff. And I just thought, oh my God. And you're almost we're numb to it at this point. You read it and you just go, oh God, it's mad. It's mad. Other teams are preparing to win stuff. We're preparing not to like fight each other. It's like it's a bad episode of Coronation Street. It's not even a good one. It's a bad episode of Corrie, and it's just, again, we have to take almost the victories we can in that Liverpool didn't win the league, but City did. And we're somewhat happy. Great. Super chat from Michelle says, now we can reflect. Let me know when you're ready for my thoughts. We're always ready, Michelle. We're always ready for the thoughts. Let's get into the game, because again, I don't want to spend the entirety of the show talking about two sides that frankly we detest, but good. Erik ten Hag, of course, was in the crowd for today's game. What was interesting is before kickoff, they asked Ralf Rangnick, they said, is Erik ten Hag going to be? He went, I don't know. 5 seconds later, Erik ten Hag showed up with his entourage. We're sitting in the crowd. He was there with Mitchell. I've spoken to the We Talk Ajax guys. Mitchell van der Haag. It's very similar. Well, it's very. I've probably butchered that as well, DJ. I'm going to be honest with you, but it's not gag or garg. It's sort of
Yeah.
So we're going with that. Steve
Ah,
McClaren was also there. Steve McClaren at one point was laughing. I don't know if he was laughing at what was happening to Liverpool, or he was just laughing, going, "I can't believe this side are on this amount of money.
yeah.
This is crazy." But what do you what do you think they were thinking after watching that today?
I think they were thinking that it's a massive job. I just think that they were. Some of it was comical. Some of the passing was atrocious. Like McTominay, Fred, but like it's just the usual suspects. I'm not even gonna go name for name. I think by now we all know the usual suspects. They were doing the usual things that they've been doing all season, and I think McLaren, Ten Hag, and Mitchell van der Haag, they were probably just thinking this is gonna be a massive job. And if anything, I think Ten Hag was probably thinking we're going to need more money. We're definitely going to need more money for this squad. So yeah, that's what they were probably thinking.
Oh, yeah, you sit next to John Murto, of course, football director. Richard Arnold's around there. I'd have started throwing like paper at him or something like that, going 140 million. You kidding me? Seriously, and that's what was almost strange from a United perspective today, as a United fan, is that not that we were distracted and we were looking at the games elsewhere because of the drama and all that kind of stuff and want the treble to remain intact, but we're used to losing like really badly and not showing any fight. Like if you were just watching the Palace game today as a United fan, you wouldn't be shocked by that. Like that's how crazy this season is. We're numb to that kind of performance.
Yeah.
And to get a bit of emotion out of us, something else has to happen somewhere else because we're used to it. Like they went 1-0 up today and it was kind of like, okay, like I knew we were going to lose anyway. And
it was routine.
It is routine. And again, like this is why in the build up to the game, in the previews to the game, I didn't even ask the question, DJ, of, do you think we're going to see a reaction from the players because Ten Hag's there? Because we're not. No, we're not.
Nah,
and did we see, did any player like fill you with any kind of confidence today?
I think maybe the only player that showed something was De Gea because of the saves that he made. Apart from De Gea, you could maybe see a bit of glimmer of hope with Alanga. He looked bright in patches, but even then, it wasn't his best performance. These players, for me, and in a weird way, I'm going to say it, in a weird way, I'm glad that they played shit. And I'm glad that they didn't play better because if they played better, that might have given, Ten Hag and his team false illusions of actually maybe there is something with these guys. They proved that they're done. They need to go. Where they're finished, us as fans, literally, it's been a painful watch all season. Painful. We've crawled literally to the final day of the league just to see our bitter rivals. They might not be, they're our number 2 bitter rivals for me anyway, lift the trophy, right? And that team that came out today, there's seasoned professionals in that team, and there was nothing. They were giving the ball away. I'm pretty sure United View, all of us could fill that team. We could be the new signings and do a better job than them because they're terrible. Honestly, they're terrible.
Yeah. And, make the Ralphs before kickoff saying, I'm sure they'll want to play in the Europa League as opposed to the Europa Conference League. Didn't look like it. I mean, it really did not look bad. I mean, the epitome of falling over the line, and it just sums up Man United's season. We finished 6th with a goal difference of 0. We scored as many goals as we conceded this season.
Wow.
And we got 6th because our rivals didn't win. West Ham basically bottled it on the last day. They lose to Brighton 3-1. And it's not even falling over the line. It's just like we got, shot and we fell backwards. And they went, winner, you're over the line. That was it. And again, it sums up Manchester United. Red Baron says, KG celebrating. Yeah, I know I've seen a lot of people going, shameless United fans celebrating City winning or whatever. But who cares?
So lesser of two evils.
Yeah,
lesser of two evils.
You take your victories. Show Raman says, Spurs, Arsenal and United combined 36 defeats. Well, Spurs were in the Champions League. Arsenal, they bottled it. And ultimately, Spurs were probably the most consistent side, so they deserve to get the top 4 in the end. But what's crazy is the fact that we were at one point in that conversation, DJ, and just from late February onwards, we basically won maybe twice, I think.
Hey, look, Owen, I said it, I called it months and months ago on one of our many shows that we've done where we have our therapy sessions with the team. I said, we are not getting top 4. We had Mr. Marcel, optimistic as ever, trying to give us the positivity, and we love him for that. But the reality was, the writing was on the wall months ago, weeks ago. These players aren't fit to wear the badge. And if 10 play, and I love Ralph coming out talking about there's 10 players leaving. There's 10 players leaving. I'm glad.
Well,
There needs
what is concerning with that though is he said that starting 11 today. He said apart from Cavani, confirmed Cavani was leaving, but he said those 10 players will be at the club next season. Can we can we readjust that actually? Because if I was Eric Ten Hag, I'd be like, don't speak for me, because
yeah.
again, some of those players today were shocking. Michelle's back with another super chat. Appreciate the contribution. Says the way we ended the season is a perfect reflection of the season. A loss, of course. Bruno making a stupid pass, amateur pass, and then flaying about. Delo and Lindelof nowhere to be found. And to be fair, we said we were ready for your thoughts, Michelle, and they were very good ones. So I appreciate the contribution as always. Are there any positives, DJ, to take? Is the only positive that it's over?
Yeah, I think that's the only positive. It's over. And kind of just touching on the point that you brought up about this team, most of them are going to be there next year, from what Ralph said. I think we need to be patient with that, because I think we're going to get rid of the first wave of players, they'll go, and then this team that we saw today, they'll eventually, some of those will get picked off in the following transfer window. So it's going to be a slow process. We've just got to grin and bear it, grit our teeth and bear it. And the only positive is, yeah, it's done. It's done. Finally, we don't have to watch this terrible, terrible Manchester United team. Probably the most terrible team I've ever watched out of Manchester United, ever. And yeah, it's done. It's done. We just need to get people out the door ASAP.
Well, statistically as well, and obviously I'm sure throughout history, there have been worse Manchester United sides, because obviously we've been relegated before. But in terms of Premier League history, statistically, it is the worst Manchester United side in Premier League history. It's the lowest points,
there you go.
most goals conceded, all that kind of stuff. It's just that they're awful. And I say the table never lies, and you end up where you deserve to be. I think it's very questionable if we deserve to be sixth, honestly. Because I'd go as far to say West Ham are probably better side than us on their,
Yeah,
it's probably true.
I think the only thing that was the difference was Cristiano Ronaldo. That's it.
We have Ronaldo. That's the difference.
Yeah, we have Ronaldo. That's the difference. Yeah, 100%.
It really is. I do want to pick your brains, because obviously several times this season you've mentioned fullbacks. And this tweet came out at halftime. I don't know if you saw this, DJ. It's from Sam Pilger, and I guess he was in the ground. He might have been in the media area at Selhurst Park. I'm not sure. But he said, quote, Eric Ten Hag has been shaking his head a lot in the stands in the first half and has not been happy. He's particularly unimpressed with Alex Telles. Thoughts?
I could have phoned Eric last week and told him that was a thing. I could have phoned him last week and told him that. I think it's a bit unfair just to single out Alex Telles, because I think out of the two, you could see he was really trying. Like he tries. I'll give him that. He does try. He's not one of those players that will sort of like just drop the ball and not try. He definitely tries, but he's just not good enough. It's just quality. He's just not there. He shouldn't be at a team at Manchester United. He was brought in as sort of like a make weight understudy to Luke Shaw. And due to injuries and stuff, he got his chance, but he's just not that good. One thing about Ten Hag, from what I saw from watching the game, is every time the camera would pan to him, he's very stone-faced. Wasn't trying to give nothing away too much, but I can definitely imagine he wasn't happy.
I don't know if it's poker face, or I don't know if he just legitimately thought, I cannot believe what I'm watching. Because we've had this quite a few times this season. Whenever we speak, I don't know about you, DJ, but whenever you talk to fans of opposition teams, whether they're your friends or you're on here, because I remember doing it a lot before the Arsenal game with some of the Arsenal guys or the AFTV guys. And every time you speak about United and you say, oh, we're rubbish, like we are rubbish, they always go, yeah, but you're still United. I bet you're not that bad. So no,
we're really bad.
You haven't watched us all season. We are rubbish. And I think it's probably a similar kind of thing with him. I think he thought, look, obviously I've watched a lot of United games on television. They've been sending over me stuff. They've been sending over us probably training clips, stats, some analysis. He's probably been doing his own independent stuff. Ralph said in the press conference they have been talking on WhatsApp. So all that kind of stuff. I'm sure they've been chatting about. But when you're there in person, you lay your own 2 eyes on it and you see it for real, that has to be like, no, they're terrible. Like they are
Yeah.
really, really, really bad. And again, I'm a fan. Obviously, look, we're all hopeful that Eric Ten Hag can turn it around at Manchester United and can do great things. And maybe that will come next season. Maybe it will come in several seasons. But the guy is not a miracle worker. And I tell you what, with some
Yeah.
of those things we saw today, legitimate miracles might be needed to get a tune out of some of
Yeah.
those players.
Yeah. I think the only way that he can kind of right this sinking ship, because actually sinking, it's sunk. We're at the bottom of the ocean right now. We need
Yeah.
to do a recovery job and get this ship back out of the water. I think the only way he can do that is if he does inject maybe 4. I'm guessing there might be 4 signings, hopefully 5, but 4 definitely. 4 signings, first 11 signings into this team to sort of raise the level a little bit, and then try and survive off that for next season and then build on it in the following transfer windows. That's the only way we're going to be able to do anything, because this team, like exactly what you said, we're so bad. I cannot recall, I honestly cannot recall a worse team, a worse Manchester United team that I've ever watched. Like, we don't even look like a team. Like, we look like strangers and individuals that's just met up at the park and just having a kickabout. It's really bad. And even us saying it's really bad doesn't even do it justice.
No, and it is laughable. I mean, again, to give you guys a sort of insight into the process of when before we go live for the post show stuff, for the post match stuff, I'm taking notes during the game, and honestly, like after half time, I don't think I took any. And it's not because I was slightly distracted, obviously, but also when I would like keep focused on the game for 5-10 minutes, nothing happened. Like nothing. Or I could carry on making loads of notes, but they would all be, gave the ball away, 2 passes sideways, ball went out for a throw in, gave the ball away, bad defending, De Gea makes a save, we're rubbish. Like, and it's the same. And I could do that without watching the game, because we know that's going to happen as well.
Yeah.
And that is wild, because as you said, maybe it's because we're spoiled. We come from a generation where Man United have been so successful, but it's just not a United that you recognise, is it?
Yeah, not at all. And I think as I'm watching the game, I can already foresee things that are going to happen. So every Manchester United game this season, we could say, yeah, McTominay is going to get dominated in midfield. He's going to commit at maybe about 3 or 4 fouls. Will pick up a yellow. He actually also, Alex Telles, he's going to be whipping crosses in, but they're not even going to find any of our target men. Dallow's going to get ripped at right back. De Gea is going to make 3 or 4 very good saves. That narrative you can fit into nearly every single game we've played. And that's only me picking a few of the players. Bruno, what Bruno did today is what he's been doing half the season. Half the season he's been doing those silly passes, not even looking. Yeah. That's criminal. That's actually disgraceful. Like, what are you doing? Kind of thing. And none of them, if any of them wanted to be part of Ten Hag's plans, I'm telling you now, Bruno's going to be under threat from Van de Beek when he comes back. I'm telling you now. Bruno might not even be the first choice number 10. Yeah.
Scored today, did Donny. Zaid Miassi with a couple of super stickers. Zaid Miassi, I mean, he was dropping some major super chats in the Flex and the KG Match View stream. It was pretty incredible to see. But unfortunately, Zane, you're with us next season in the Europa League. Arsenal's best season ever. And you're still Arsenal's best season ever and our worst season ever. We're still in the same competition next season. So come on.
Fans.
It's like the Simpsons gif, when they're sitting on the sofa. Join us. We're going to be in the Europa next season.
I saw that,
Thursday night settings. Oh, it's going to be great. Oh, it's going to be fantastic. I did see that. David G with a super chat as well says all Bruno's yellows are from complaining to the referee. I mean, Bruno Fernandes is just an odd one, to be honest, because again, I mentioned this the other day too, DJ, and definitely from January onwards, I really can't think of a game where I've gone Bruno Fernandes played really, really, really well. And again, I know some people go, oh, well, I think when we played Villa at Villa Park, he scored a couple. Or when we played Leeds, and they'll go, yeah, he scored a couple. But I can't remember a game where I've got Bruno from first minute to last minute played really well today. And again, it's almost the lack of quality is almost predictable. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
concerning thing, isn't it? The lack of quality, the long passes that go nowhere, or giving the ball away, or forcing things are predictable. And I do feel almost a bit uncomfortable singling out players individually, like you said before, because they're all painted with that same brush. They're all
Yeah.
rubbish at the
Yeah,
moment.
they're all
But
rubbish. Yeah.
since Bruno did come up, surely Eric Ten Hag will be able to look at him and go, he can do better than that, what I saw today.
Yeah, I think with Bruno, him as a creative player, he was working off scraps. You know, as a creative player, if you're playing a number 10, your job is to sort of assist, try and move the ball as quick as you can into the danger areas for the target men and make things happen. I think this United team it's so devoid of creativity that, you know, if players aren't making runs or the strikers aren't in good form, it will affect your number 10. And Bruno is a ball playing number 10 in a sense of he likes to pass it, he likes to pass and move, he likes the Hollywood ball and all of that. I think though, again, for the system that Ten Hag wants to employ, Donny's going to be the correct fit because Donny is a little bit more fluid in and off the ball. So it's going to be interesting. We may even have a point where Bruno starts playing on the wing next season, or we may have a point where he is just the number 2-10 until he picks up some form.
Or goes into a deeper role, you know?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. In the
I don't think it must be said. I think you do bring up a good point. I don't think any player is going to have that almost indispensable quality that they have had previously.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Ronaldo, maybe De Gea in terms of, he can't drop them. But, you know, previously Bruno has had that. Certainly under Oli, he had that status that he can't drop Bruno because...
Yeah.
And at the time, he was bringing stuff to the team in goals and assists, but he doesn't do that at the moment anymore.
Yeah.
So... You know, he definitely is droppable. Like I don't think he has that status that he did a year ago or 18 months ago. Where you've got to remember those conversations we used to have. Going, you can't drop, you can't take him off because he could do something. Well, he's not doing anything.
He hasn't done anything. He hasn't done anything. The Bruno well has run dry. I'm afraid it really has.
Kevin Mitchell says, "In with a bang, out with a whimper." That should be the subtitle for United season, shouldn't it? Michelle back with another super chat saying, "Thank you. Bruno is so overrated. Only Man U could replace the most overrated player, Pogba, with next Bruno. Good job increasing the contract." I do think obviously Bruno's got he's better than what we've seen him be over the last few months because we have seen him play better. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I think like the confidence thing or just the lack of quality, it's bizarre. It's like some kind of virus that spreads throughout the squad, and then suddenly everyone gets caught with it, and all of the players are just playing below. Well, this is the problem, I suppose. Some of the players aren't playing below their level. That is their level. That's the concerning thing. But there are players in that squad that I do think are better than that. I do want to talk about some David De Gea quotes. He's been talking after the game. I believe him and Ronaldo are two best players this season. He said after the game, quote, "I want to forget this season and be 100% ready for next season and be positive. It has been horrible, a very bad season in all ways. It has been very tough. It's time to rest and prepare your minds for next season." He also said, "Ones who want to stay at the club. Ones that don't want to stay, go out. You don't have to stay here." Good. Absolutely. Yeah, he's right there, isn't he? If you don't want to be here, go.
It's true. Yeah. And you know what? Sorry, go on.
Well, he finishes this point by saying, quote, "The best thing that happened today is the season has finished."
Go on, David. Do you know what? That is just damning about kind of what's been going on. You can tell there's been infighting with the team. You can imagine, you know, Pogba, and this didn't happen, guys, so don't shoot the messenger or whatever, but you can imagine Pogba probably saying, "Oh yeah, I don't know, I'm just going to choose between Spain and Italy," and they're saying, "Oh, shut up, well, if you don't want to go," and then there's a big argument in the dressing room. Like, there's probably a few players saying that. Do you know what I mean? So he's right. If any of our two players that stood out would be De Gea and Ronaldo this season. That's it. No one else. Nobody else.
And also, like you said, I'm sure that he has, because you hear it, maybe not in front of the manager, but you hear it in the dressing room, or you hear it in the gym, or you hear it in the physio room, or what have you, of people moaning, "I'm not playing, we're rubbish, this, that, and the other," or "training's hard," or "training's not good, I don't like these new coaches," or whatever. And you can imagine that that's been boiling up in him all season. And he's just gone, "You know what? If you don't want to be here, if you don't like it, F off.
Yeah, just go.
Okay, then why are you here?" Like, if you're at Manchester United, not probably, not one of the best clubs right now because we're not very good, but one of the
Yeah,
biggest and with the biggest sort of spotlight in the world. If you don't like it here or you don't want to be here, go. No
yeah,
one's holding a gun to your head. Go make money elsewhere. Go and see how well you fare in other places. But certainly you won't be sort of admired, or your stock or your cachet won't be as high because you're not at a club that's as popular or has much, many fans or much scrutiny. And he's right. If you don't want to be here, go, leave.
yeah.
If you can't handle being at Man United when they're not doing well, you don't deserve to be at Man United when they are doing well. That's the difference, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah. Good for David. Good for David.
David just
He also,
sticking the boot in.
yeah, he also said, quote, the new manager and staff are already looking for new players. Hopefully they bring good ones with good character.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Hey, this is why I've been saying,
Wow.
De Gea, give him the armband. If you don't want to give it to Cristiano because you're worried about how long he's going to be around,
Yeah.
listen to some David De Gea interviews. Yeah.
Yeah. And literally, I think he's right. He hit the money on the head when he's saying that, and you know what? I think it's so transparent as fans. We can watch the games and we can see who the bad eggs are. We can kind of see who's not pulling their weight. We can see who's not trying. We can see the ones who are always moaning. And, one thing about Bruno that we just spoke about, actually, just came to my head now, is that, when he's always complaining to the ref and all of this stuff, it's not like the ref's going to be like, actually, Bruno, you're right. It is a foul or it is a penalty. Ref's not going to change his mind. So you might as well just, whatever, say your piece to yourself and carry on the game. I just find it annoying.
But look, and I was going to say, it's a bit of a thinly veiled message by De Gea, but it's not. It's not even thinly veiled. It's a very blatant message of him. He's basically come out to the media after the game and said there are a lot of people here that don't have good attitudes, don't deserve to be here, don't want to be here, and if they've got that attitude, they can go. And I hope that the new coaches and the new manager brings in players that actually want to be here and actually I like, because I don't like anyone around here.
And then De Gea is one of the first ones got leaving. Imagine that.
Oh, could you imagine?
He gets obviously bringing another keeper.
But that's the thing as well, isn't it? Again, people can talk about certain players at the club and their favourites and all that kind of stuff. But De Gea's kind of saying it there. There are a lot of players that don't want to be here. I'm sure a lot of people's opinions on certain players would change if they knew that they were players that actually just were constantly moaning or complaining about being at Man United. De Gea's been there for over a decade at this point. He has won a league title. He knows how it works at Manchester United.
At this point, I can guess who I think I already know which players it is. I think I know already. I think I know.
Michelle says, thanks for correcting poor typing when reading out the super chat. Don't have to apologize, Michelle. Appreciate the contribution as always. Tabarez says, we have conceded more goals than Burnley. Can someone tell me why Bailly and Twanzebe is worse than Maguire, Lindelof and Varane? Open your eyes, Eric Ten Hag. I think his eyes were firmly open today. If they weren't already, they're definitely firmly opened. The fact that we conceded more goals than Burnley and Burnley got relegated speaks volumes, which That's again crazy. Goes to show, isn't it? Legitimately then, the difference there is Cristiano Ronaldo.
Exactly. Exactly.
The fact that we weren't on a negative goal difference is because of Cristiano Ronaldo, which is, it only took the best player of all time for us to finish 6th this season. Which is, again, wild. David De Gea also said, I cannot wait to play under Eric Ten Hag. I'm excited for the next season. New manager, new players. Hopefully we improve and put Manchester United in a better position. We need to trust in the future. So I guess also kind of saying there that these players that have been here for 6 years, 7 years, they ain't the future anymore. And they are this sort of really meaningless and pitiful present, I suppose, as well. So, again, that's why I've been saying several times. And I know sometimes people have issues with goalkeepers being captains, and I don't really understand that narrative. People say, they can't affect the game.
You're part of the goalkeepers union, though, aren't you?
Yeah, I don't understand that, because there have been captains that have been goalkeepers, really good captains. Hugo Lloris is captain at Spurs. Gianluigi Buffon is a great captain. Yes, talking one of the greatest goalkeepers of all time. Iker Casillas, captain at Real Madrid. I could carry on, right? Yeah. But I don't understand that point of, he's a goalkeeper, I'd prefer my captain to be a centre-back or midfielder. Doesn't matter. If they're a leader in the dressing room, or they can face the media, or they can actively get across what the manager wants them to get across, then why can't they be the captain? I still think if it was me, it would depend next season, the captaincy, it would depend on what conversation I had with Cristiano Ronaldo. If
Yeah.
Eric Ten Hag comes in and has a conversation with Cristiano Ronaldo and goes, okay, your contract's up at the end of the year. You've got an option for another year after that. Or we've got the option, rather. Are we saying you're going to be here for 2 extra years? If he goes, yeah, I'd go, wow, okay, I'll give you the captaincy because there's nobody in this dressing room that people admire more than Cristiano Ronaldo. Why wouldn't they? If he has a conversation with Cristiano Ronaldo, it's like, what you thinking? And he goes, well, I'm not really sure what I'm thinking this summer, or I'm leaning towards staying, but I'm not sure. Or how you feeling about playing Europa League? Well, I don't know. Then I go, oh, David, you're going to be here for 2 or 3 years. Give it to him,
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you think about the captaincy thing actually? Because Harry Maguire returned to the starting lineup today, and just kind of the same.
Yeah.
Really.
It's just the same. I think with the captaincy, I think you're right. I think the only 2 candidates that really actually make sense would be Cristiano Ronaldo or David De Gea. And I think you're definitely right in saying once we find out kind of where Ronaldo stands, whether how long he's going to be here, if he's going to be here for the 2 years extra, then cool, definitely behind him being the captain. Although I will say he does come with his own sort of, how can I put this? Issues. Baggage. Cristiano Ronaldo isms. That's what I would say. When things aren't going well, he does have form for throwing toys out of the pram a little bit, and we have seen a little bit of that this season. So I'm hoping if he was to be the captain, that he could actually be that lead by example. But yeah, I think the safe bet is De Gea if Ronaldo's a bit unsure.
Also, as well, it must be said, if you want your captain to be involved in every game, De Gea ain't missing any games, is he?
It's true.
He's not going to miss any games this season. I mean, Ronaldo, I saw some people criticizing Ronaldo because he wasn't playing today. He was out of the game because he had the hip flexor issue, which reportedly he's basically had the second half of this season, and he's just been, I guess, trying to play through it at times.
Yeah.
The fact that he has played through it and still scored that amount of goals is insane.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at someone as to he's going to play every game, David De Gea is going to play every game next season, unless the overhaul in terms of the playing style is so radical and he really can't adjust, and we do have to put someone else in goal. But I don't see that happening. So look, that's just, and then what's crazy with Ten Hag as well is that's just one decision he's got to make, and it's a massive decision. Like for some managers, that might be the biggest decision they have to make when they come in. That's just one of like several. Which is nuts. I mean, Ten Hag's going to have his first press conference reportedly for Manchester United tomorrow. If he gets asked about the captaincy, he goes like, Harry Maguire, is he going to be a captain next season? What do you think he says?
I think the smart answer is, I'm going to assess it, or I'm going to speak to him, or I'm going to, even though that's telling us, yes, you probably are going to change the captaincy, but it's a nice roundabout way of putting it where you can backtrack if you really wanted to. I'd be very shocked if he turned out and said, I think the team will need a new captain. I think how I would do it, PR spin would be, I think Harry's level will go up if he's not the captain, because he's not having to worry about all of that stuff. It's less pressure on his shoulders, and he can be the Harry Maguire for England. I'd proper turn it around and make it like that.
But then immediately they go, this new manager DJ's a liar. He's talking absolute rubbish. Immediately, he's lying to our face. We've got Ollie over again. I don't think he'll give us a proper answer. I mean, look, and we've said this a couple of times as well, is that if he does get, and he will get asked that question tomorrow, I'm sure of it, he'll get asked. If he says, I'm going to stick with Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire's my captain. As United fans, I guess we've got to take it, right? We just got to go.
Yeah, we do. And I think this is something within the fan base where people are saying, what if Ten Hag says, I want Scott McTominay to be in my midfield? Who are we to, we can have a personal opinion on it, but if we all agreed, I think it's widely known across the fan base, we've all agreed we're going to give Ten Hag time. Whatever he wants, we're going to back. So if he wants Scott McTominay, if he wants Harry Maguire, I guess we'll just have to accept it. We'd have to accept it.
We would have to. What was interesting as well today, obviously Diogo Dalot played, and in the week it's been reported that Aaron Wan-Bissaka has basically been told by United and Ten Hag, you're not needed. You're not in the plans. We're going to be looking at offers for you, etc. But Dalot is in Ten Hag's plans. Again, everyone was rubbish today, so I don't want to completely single out individual players, but I looked at Diogo Dalot today, and I know that really good fullbacks over the years have been run ragged by Wilfried Zaha, but Wilfried Zaha absolutely had Diogo Dalot on toast today. I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely had him on toast. And if I was Eric Ten Hag and I said, I think I can get something out of Diogo Dalot, and I saw that performance today, I'd be having major concerns.
Yeah. Yeah. That was quite concerning. And I think we're in all agreement. If that's Aaron Wan-Bissaka, he doesn't get put on toast like that. He rarely does. He rarely does. I don't. He knows him. They're friends. They're like Wan-Bissaka's. That's not happening. I'm telling you now, Zaha would have to cross to the other side. Sterling for me is a much better player than Wilfried Zaha, right? And we've seen Wan-Bissaka go toe to toe with him time and time again and put him in his pocket, right? And do well against him. So this is kind of like boxing math, this fight would beat this fight. It's kind of similar to that, but I do think that's not happening to AWB. That's just not happening to him. And Dalot concerns me because when we start, let's hope obviously we get better as a team. When we start going into Europe and we're playing better left wingers than Wilfried Zaha, it gets a bit dicey for Dalot. It does. It gets a bit dicey for him. So that is something that we will need to address. I kind of think that maybe Timber for certain games would be used over there.
Well, this is
if he comes in.
That's what's funny. That's what's funny with the Timber thing, isn't it? Is that obviously he comes in, and I think people are assuming, okay, he's going to be centre back, and he would be centre back and all that kind of stuff. But if Wan-Bissaka does go, I think at some points he'd be forced Ten Hag to be like, "I got to play him right back," because Dalot's just not good enough. What is funny, and I have to give KG credit because he was saying it at the time. There was this weird, and I think you probably said it as well. There was this weird, almost narrative put out there about Dalot of, wow, he's good. He might not be great defensively, but he's good going forward.
Yeah,
he's not.
We haven't seen it. We haven't seen.
He's not.
There's no evidence to back these statements. Their stats are pretty much identical this season, and it's. I feel kind of bad for AWB because I think on the eye test, you look at Dalot and he looks a little bit more technical. He has a little bit more about him in terms of with the ball, but the end results are still the same. It's still the same, So I think they're as bad as each other. I think AWB much better defender. Just there's no even comparison in that aspect. Like AWB defensively is much better, but.
And to be honest, we say that about saying, he might be better than Dalot defensively and all that kind of stuff. But bottom line, they're still both not good enough. They're not. And it always goes to show, this is always my point about players when they leave Manchester United, a sign of how good they are, especially if they're still in their 20s, is where they're going after Manchester United. If Aaron Wan-Bissaka leaves United, he goes to probably back to Palace.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe a mid-table Premier League side. And that's not really to slag off Palace. They beat us 1-0 today. But that's probably his level. If Dalot leaves Man United, I know he went to AC Milan and maybe he would get a European move like that, but I'm not feeling any of them. And I'm not feeling a lot of these players, to be honest. And I don't think it's, I tweeted during the first half, reportedly, Eric Ten Hag wants a centre-back in the summer and he wants a full-back, and no wonder. He probably watched the first 20 minutes and went to John Murto. That's why I want a centre-back. That's why I want a full-back. And I know Varane wasn't playing today. He was on the bench, which was a surprising one. But I don't know. My sort of moods changed somewhat on Varane, to be honest. And there is no doubt he is a very good player. You can't argue with all he's done. Can't argue with his titles, his Champions Leagues, and all that kind of stuff. But when we were really dominant Manchester United, it's because we had a centre-back pairing in Vidic and Ferdinand that eventually became very injury-prone. But for a period of time, you knew for a fact they were playing every single game. That was the partnership. They were reliable. They were there every week. Now, again, that did change later on as they got older. But my concern would be with Varane on his day. If he's playing, great. How often is he going to play?
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. Yeah, and as you said, Ten Hag has a massive lift to go through, and he's going to have to prioritize what needs immediate action within the budget that we have. And I think when we're talking about a centre back coming in, How about this? Newsflash, guys. If Timber, and I'll say if Timber does come in, how about he might not even be the centre back that Ten Hag's thinking of? He might be the right back, the full back that Ten
Yeah,
Hag's
yeah.
thinking of. And I think we can, people, they're a bit on the fence with Shaw, but I think we can at least Shaw can do another season under Ten Hag. I think at least we bring in on one side, we can have Shaw on the other side because Tellez isn't it for me. You promote Alvaro Fernandez, Dallo as the understudy to Timber, and then you bring in the centre back, whoever that's going to be. You get rid of Jones, maybe Bailly, and then you have, unfortunately, Maguire, Lindelof, the new centre back, Varane. That's what you
Yeah,
do.
I think that's a possibility as well. Hannibal started today, which was a bit
Mm-hmm.
of a surprising one.
Yep.
Eventually came off for Juan Mata in what looks to be Mata's final performance for the club. What did you
Mm-hmm.
think of Hannibal during the game? I mean, a lot of energy, picked up a yellow, bit feisty, but again, is it a situation whereby he came on against Liverpool, started in this game, but they were almost terrible games to play in because everyone else was playing rubbish?
Yeah, terrible games for him to play in. And I've never liked where we have number 10s or central midfield players that are young. They always get shifted to the wing. I really irks me. It really bothers me because that's not his best position. He's not a one-on-one dribbler in the final third. He's not going to run through the channels. It's not him. He's a central player. He plays in the pockets. He plays in the half spaces. That's where he plays his best football. And to not play him in his preferred position, especially in a shit game, I think it's just, what did he really get out of that game, really? Yeah, okay, he made his full debut, but it was shit. It was, and it's no reflection of him. And I think those games don't do him justice. So now he's going to have to go back next season, back into the under 23 fold, work his way up, maybe 5 to 10 games or whatever to even get Ten Hag to look at him. That's what I think is going to happen now because of, a shit performance today. So,
Yeah, I was just checking when you were talking there that to see if there'd been any reason given as to why this happened, but I don't think there has. You can let me know in the live chat if any reason was given. But Marcus Rashford and Dean Henderson did travel with Manchester United. They were reportedly
mm-hmm.
at Selhurst Park today,
Yeah.
but neither were named on the bench. Thoughts?
I think, and this is me just speculating here, I think that there could have been some fallout. We won't be surprised. Probably tomorrow morning or in the week, we'll find out. It will come out. But I think maybe there's been Rashford had a bit of verbal, and Ranić's not really been too hot on Rashford as of late. I think we know that. There's been stuff that's happened, and I just think that Rashford, for whatever reason, has got the brunt of Ranić's frustration. So yeah, it was quite shocking to me when I heard that because you could have done with Marcus Rashford in this game. But it is what it is, man. Like, I'm ready for some of our favourites to go in name and in players. I think at the end of the season, it's going to be a culling. It's going to be literally out the door, out the door, out the door, out the door, a full revamp of this team. And it's going to take time, but who knows? Marcus Rashford could be a player that gets sold. And I would, honestly, I'm gonna say it here first. I would sell him if it meant us getting a Nkunku that came the other way, or that's the only way I would sell him. It would have to be someone that's gonna make us better. So yeah, he could be someone that's on the way out, assessing these options.
Yeah, the Henderson one, when I saw that Tom Heaton was on the bench and Henderson wasn't, I thought, wow, Henderson's gone. But we know
Yeah,
that anyway. Whether
yeah.
or not it's a permanent one or a loan deal, we don't know. It was really bizarre in the week. I think Samuel Lucas came out and went, 95% done, he's going to Newcastle. Next day, something else comes out, goes, it's not going to happen anytime soon. And that bit was taken out of Samuel Lucas' article. So either he got it
Okay.
wrong
Yeah.
or he was lied to or something like
Yeah.
that. We don't know, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. But he will go this summer, Dean
Mm-hmm.
Henderson. I think the tipping point is whether it's going to be a permanent deal or a loan deal. So I wasn't surprised when I didn't see Henderson in there. I thought, wow, that basically shows you how things will go with Dean Henderson. The Rashford one, that's why I was looking on there because I thought, and I'm sure Ranić will get asked about it in either these post-match interviews or in the post-match press conference. There has to be, I'm not, you know me, DJ, I'm not a big conspiracy guy, this means this or whatever, but it's odd.
It is very odd.
That is an odd one for him to travel and for him to be training this week. And I think Ralph had said it in his press conferences, oh yeah, he's been back in training because he was out, I think he had an illness. I think he might have had bronchitis or something like that. Sancho had tonsillitis. I think Rashford had bronchitis or something of that nature. So the fact that he would travel and then he wasn't on the bench, in favor of youngsters such as Fernandez, Charlie Savage, Shoretire. Like, that is just, it's either a message or something
Hmm.
that we don't know in terms of some kind of injury or whatever. But that just feels very, very strange to me. And I'm with you. Look, I don't think, I'm not attached. I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm not. I'm not attached to any of the players, honestly.
Yeah.
If Eric Ten Hag comes in and says to any of them they need to go, even if it was Ronaldo, I'd be like, that's a surprising one. Or even if it was David De Gea, I'd be like,
Yeah.
that's a surprising one. But at this point, you can't finish sixth the way that we have, when we deserve to finish seventh. You can't have some of the performances we've had this season and have any room for sentiment for any of the players. They don't
Yeah.
deserve it. Any kind of
Yeah.
sentiment that we once had ran out a long time ago because
Long
they
time ago.
abused it. Because
Yeah.
they abused it and they don't deserve it. So
Yeah.
any player, if any player feels I deserve assurances of where I'm going to start, I deserve assurances of my place, you don't deserve anything. Any
Yeah.
kind of, want to deserve anything disappeared a long time ago. So
Yeah.
Rashford's future, I don't know. I don't know. And there would be, of course, there'd be clubs to pick him up. Clubs would want Marcus Rashford. They would think that they
Yeah.
can get something out of him. And I'm sure Eric Ten Hag probably wants to keep Marcus Rashford, and he probably does think that he can get something out of him. But him not being on the bench today, whilst he did travel, is a surprising one. But
Yeah.
again, that's just, and what's wild is that's just one of the stories. That's
Yeah.
just one of the stories.
And that's the thing. There's so much going on right now at our club. There is so many unhappy moving parts. There's so much on the to-do list. There's from sort of a tactical standpoint, there's a lot to do. From personnel standpoint, there's a lot to do. There's the contracts issue. There's how much money we're going to spend. It's just so much for that backroom staff and that backroom team to do. I'm just hoping we stabilize by the end of the transfer window. We're happy because it's not going to be a one transfer window thing. We're probably going to have to do a little bit now and then a little bit at another time and work with some of the players that we have. I think in regards to, just lastly on Marcus Rashford, as I said, I think as you hit the nail on the head, a lot of these players, they've been given upteenth chances to prove themselves to various managers, and none of them have taken that. None of them have, covered themselves in glory. So now it's time for them to move on. Yes, I'm a Marcus Rashford fan. I think he's a great person, all of that jazz. But for my football club, he's been off form for a long time. A long, long time. And as I said, if we bring in a player who, like an Nkunku, I'm not saying we're linked to Nkunku, I'm just saying just because he's one of my favourite players. If an Nkunku was to be interested in Manchester United and Marcus Rashford was going the other way, or he was sold to make way for him, I would be like, yes, because Nkunku is a better player. It makes us better, so we should do it. So, yeah, no time for sentiment. And the look on Ten Hag's face, and even Mitchen van der Haag, like his face, like he was stone, just like,
yeah.
I love it. I'm here for that. I'm here for that.
Yeah, absolutely I am. And again, I think that a positive you can take out of games like today and results like today, and we said this a lot during the negotiating process before Eric Ten Hag was officially announced, that when you have results like that, I think it just strengthens Eric Ten Hag's hands. And whatever he wants, he can just go to John Murto. He can just go to Richard Arnold and just go, that thing you're a bit on the fence about giving me? Take a look at that on the pitch.
Yeah.
You're happy with that, are you? Because if you're happy with that, then you don't have to give me what I want. That's fine. And we'll continue doing that. But if you want to actually improve, give me what I want.
Yeah, I've got a question for you. So 140 million is the rumored budget.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's either more or less than that, or it's quite accurate? Because I think, as you said, after some of these performances, Ten Hag can just put his hand out and say, give me more. I need more. I need an extra 50 million. But who knows, because of obviously the tax when we try to buy players. So how much you reckon it is?
I don't know. I think, to be honest, I do think it's quite fluid.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think last season we had a budget of a specific amount, and then that budget was thrown out the window because Cristiano Ronaldo became available. If the right player becomes available, United have the money. United always have the money to spend. It's whether they actually want to, or it's actually been budgeted. If they think they can make more money off the transfer, they'll do it. It's a case of, so it might be 140 million euros. It might be a little bit more than that. I would hope it's 140 million euros in terms of, we're giving you this to spend. Oh, and by the way, once we get rid of certain players, we can probably bump that up to maybe 200 or what have you.
Yeah.
Again, I would err us on the side of caution in that I do believe we need a lot of players, but I think we'll get 4 players, maybe 5. We need more than that. I would also be cautious as to we shouldn't try and get everything done in one window. If you try and get everything done in one window, that's when you lead to mistakes. That's when you lead into making rash decisions on bringing players in that you probably shouldn't have, or it's not the right time. Again, I think 4 players, 5 players is probably about right. And I do think that would significantly improve us next season if we get the right players. But I also don't know if I have a ton of trust as to if we would get the right players anyway. Our track record. I mean, I've said this before. You know, when people talk about Liverpool, they'll say it's amazing. Every single player they bring in improves their side and is amazing. That's no fluke. That's by design because the devil is in the detail, as it were. They are so in detailed about their scouting, about their recruitment, that when Luis Diaz did come up, they were planning to buy him in the summer, but they went, we were going to get him in the summer. He's going to go to Spurs. We'll get him now. We have to get him now. But they were well aware of him.
Yeah.
And again, it's no fluke that every player we've brought in is rubbish because it reflects the players that you bring in, the quality of players you bring in reflects the quality of you at your job. So whether they're the scouts or whether they're the negotiators or anyone involved, the quality of the player, if it's a bad player, that means you're bad at your job because you thought they were a good player. And you're not good at your job. That's the difference. So, again, my trust in Manchester United being able to bring in a player, irrespective of their reputation, of actual quality, is questionable. Maybe that will change this season because there are different people involved in this kind of transfer window. And Eric Ten Hag might be putting in his own, 2 cents about it as well. And he'll be saying, no, I know this player's good.
Yeah.
So I first-hand account, like some of these Ajax players, I know they're good. So I can bring them in. But 140 million... it might be a bit more. It might be a bit less. I don't think we're going to have a situation like a David Moyes' first window where we buy one player and because it didn't work out, because we'd be in massive trouble.
Yeah. I do think between sort of like Ten Hag's network and even McLaren, because he's been in the game for so long, and even Ranić's network, that they can bring in players for those modest prices of 30 to 35 million that are good, that will still improve us. So it's sort of a wait and see now. I think all eyes are going to be on us in the transfer window.
Yes, certainly they will. Especially as well, look, Man City just won the league. They've brought in Erling Haaland as well. And you might argue that they're looking at it as well. They might bring in probably a midfielder, considering Fernandinho's going, which I've said several times. We're linked to Frankie de Jong. I wouldn't be stunned in the slightest if he goes to Manchester City, to be honest. It fits.
If he went there.
It fits. Why is that deal not possible? He wants Champions League football. City are in the Champions League. Oh, they need someone that's got links to Barcelona. They've got Pep Guardiola, and also the director of football's got links at Barcelona as well. It's an easy deal to do if they want to do it. For us, it's a difficult deal to do because it's 65 million euros, which again, if we do have a 140 million euro budget, big chunk out of the budget. He also wants to play Champions League football. We barely made it into the Europa League. The only thing we have on our side in the Frankie de Jong deal is that his former manager is now our manager. And if Eric Ten Hag manages to pull that off, and also everyone else involved, so you would say Murto, Fletcher, etc., if they manage to pull that off, then I would go, oof, good for us. But I would also be concerned of going, we still need like 4 players with half the budget nearly missing. And that, again, would be a massive concern. Jermaine also says that City also have Julian Alvarez coming. I'd forgotten about that as well. I forgot about that.
They're overpowered. They're overpowered at the moment. And to think if they had De Jong in that midfield alongside De Bruyne, and man, that's something else. That midfield is something else. Oh man. And if
concerning to say the least.
Oh man, that's very concerning. With Haaland up front, it's gonna get worse. It's gonna get worse.
That's for future us to deal with. I do like this quote from Ranić as well. He was talking about the Crystal Palace goal today. He said, "quote The goal scorer in the end was Zaha, but the ones who gave the assists were ourselves." And it's true because it's true because Bruno gave the ball away. Dalot. Again, like just the entire game looked at Zaha and just sort of, it was like in a cartoon with the spinny eyes and all that kind of stuff. But it's true. And actually, while we wrap it up, this is quite a good question. So Ralph Rangnick's tenure has come to an end today. How would you rate it out of 10?
2.
Two.
2 out of 10. I think it's been horrible. I don't think it's worked. And that's not because he hasn't tried. It's not because he
I was going
hasn't
to say,
tried.
is that? Would you say that's Ralph's fault or no?
No. I think, he came in with the right ideas. He came in with the right approach. He was just let down by the players. And I think, you said it on a few shows before. If the players stop trying, why would he try? Why would he try? There's just no point after that. If your players can't even, run and press and even make a 5-yard pass, what hope did the man have? Do you know what I mean? As we know, his skill set doesn't lie with him being, the forefront coach, the manager of a team. It's more in the background, scouting networks and building teams and building structures. He wasn't helped by these players. They threw, in my opinion, another manager yet under the bus. And for whatever reasons they had, so I'd say it's 2 out of 10. I think what has been positive is not even for the on-field stuff. It's been the off-field stuff that he's done, because I believe he was, and people might, I think Murto has definitely had something to do with it. Of course he has. I think Ranić was the catalyst for this change, because I don't think there's been a manager apart from Jose that has been brutally honest with players, with the club, with how it's run, and been so open with it to the media, to fans, for us to see. It's like wrestling. We had a peek under the curtain now, and we can kind of see what's really going on. We can see the storylines developing. So for that, and that alone, I applaud Ranić. But in terms of his managerial tenure, it hasn't been good.
I would probably give him a 5. I would give him a 5 because ultimately, Ralph Ranić was brought in to be the interim manager to the end of the season and to get us in the top 4. He has not done that. So you could argue he has failed his objective. However, my caveat with that is that I'm not actually sure it was ever possible. I think he was dealing with a deck of cards that was a faulty deck of cards, and I'm not sure he was ever truly able to achieve his objective with those players. Maybe he thought he was able to. After that first game at Crystal Palace, he thought maybe I can do it, but something changed in the weeks following that, and these players, again, they did the boo-boo face, and they went, nope, we're not doing that. We're not doing the running. We're not doing the training, and that's it. From that point on, it doesn't matter what Ralph Ranić was capable of. He was never, ever, ever, ever going to be able to do that because the players didn't want to do that. You can have the most genius and best tactical philosophy ever, or the best tactics ever. If your players aren't willing to implement that, or they don't want to listen to you, you're set up to fail. And that's what he was. He was set up to fail. People can also talk about, we should have done business in January. Maybe we should have done business in January. But even if we had, it didn't really matter, because you would still have a squad of players of like 18 players that could not be bothered. So it doesn't matter if we'd have brought in another striker, because we'd still be in a squad of players that can't be asked. That can't be asked to run around. So like you, I say the positive things is that he shone lights on areas of the club that we knew were very dark anyway, but sometimes things need to be put out there. There has to be a little bit of pressure put on certain places for actual change to happen. And maybe that's what has happened under Ralph Ranić. I almost think it's a point of, what, maybe it did need to get really, really bad. Maybe it had to. If we'd have got top 4, there would be some major papering over cracks. And maybe we would have come to the conclusion of, actually, it's not actually that bad. It's not actually that bad. Maybe we are on the right track. No. Sometimes things need to get bad. And they've
100%.
got really, really bad. And, so I would give him a 5. Hopefully his legacy isn't finished at Manchester United yet. Hopefully in his consultancy role, he said it in his press conference that he's probably going to be involved in recruitment. That's his speciality. Whether or not he gets listened to, whether or not these recommendations he gives, whether they get listened to, who knows ultimately. But I'm just glad it's over, DJ, to be honest.
It's over. It's been a painful hell of a ride. And I just want to thank all the viewers, just the community for being with us through it, because it's been tough, and, they've needed us and we've needed them. And the United View community has just come together really for this horrible season. And let's hope we can celebrate some stuff in the summer. Hopefully we get some really good players coming through, some gems, and, they'll be ready for the ride next season.
Absolutely. Whilst it's been a difficult season, obviously, and a rubbish season, and a season we would hope to forget very quickly, we do hope on a serious note that in times of it being very bleak and bad and depressing and sad when it comes to Manchester United, we hope we kept you entertained, put a smile on your faces, and enjoyed these therapy sessions. And just on to next season. Obviously, guys, I mean, we're not disappearing. There's going to be plenty of content coming over the summer. We're not going on a hiatus. I said that yesterday. I was doing the match view for the charity game, the Legends game, and I said, "Oh, it's my last match view of the season." And then I got a load of comments going, "Why are you leaving?" I went, "Well, I'm just not doing the match view tomorrow. It's the last one of the season, so I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere." But
disclaimer.
there you go. Exactly. Anyway, guys, be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. We're out of here. Manchester United finished 6th in the Premier League this season, qualified for the Europa League. And hey, it can only get better from here, right? Right?
I hope so.
I hope so. We'll see you again soon.